Every year around December and January, we start talking about what can we do as a pastoral team to push Westlight one step closer to realizing our vision of experiencing heaven together. This year, we decided together that we need some tangible way of measuring how close we are getting to that goal. So we came up with 3 measurable goals. The first one that came up was 1,200 hours of experiencing heaven together. We wanted to make sure that we all got out there and started blessing our community, not just our own church. So now we have an icon on our Bulletin Plus app that lets you log in how many hours you put into reaching this goal. The second goal was for the rest of our church to get to know all the ministries that our church offers. And the way we decided to do that is by doing this thing called Westlight Spotlights, where every month we introduce you to what's been going on in each of our ministries and also let you know what are some challenges and some victories they've experienced. And the third goal was for you to share with our community how you personally are experiencing heaven on earth. In the first 2 months of 2020, we were actually on track of meeting these goals, but then COVID-19 hit and everything changed. In March, our pastoral team and our board got together and we made the difficult decision to shut down our physical gathering, even before the government mandated for houses of worship to do so. We believe that this was very consistent with who we are as Westlight Community Church, that we will play our part in loving our neighbors by making sure that we're not contributing to the spread of this disease. So we were tasked with this biggest transition that we've ever made at Westlight Community Church, from switching from a physical gathering to a virtual one. But as it turns out, we were perfectly poised to make this transition for 4 reasons. Number 1, we were a portable church already. We didn't put all our eggs in the basket of gathering in a physical place because we were always ready to move in case the school says we couldn't meet there anymore. So we invested heavily in our life groups. Second, our announcements, the way that we communicated with you guys, were already digital anyways. You didn't even have to come to church on Sunday morning to find out what's happening. We had Bulletin Plus that most of you have already subscribed to, and that was the best way for us to get information to you. Third, our sermons were already being posted online for people to view in case you missed Sunday morning. And fourth, we already had an online giving platform, so we didn't have to scramble to get things together at the last minute. But we didn't want to stop there. We wanted to keep improving the Westlight virtual community experience. So here are some of the tweaks that we made, and here are some of the big changes and additions we made to Westlight Community Church since the beginning of this year. First, let's talk about life groups. Thanks to the leadership of Pastor Tim, the life group leaders have been gathering together virtually and been receiving training and equipping every other month consistently. Westlight Community Church has created several Zoom accounts so that we could meet for more than 40 minutes in our life groups, and we just want to give a special shout out and a special thanks to all those people who have donated a special account for Westlight to use so that we could continue to have these life-giving communities online. All our groups have been meeting regularly, and what's even better than this is that people who can't usually come on a regular basis, well, they started coming regularly because they have more time. And on top of this, it turns out we have more people being added to our life groups since the pandemic started. Also, we're happy to announce that the transition from Jordan to Kylie in our youth life group has been very successful. So that's life groups. Now let's go to a second component in Westlight Community Church, which is our Sunday service. Now, a typical Sunday morning has 5 components. It starts with prayer, then it goes to greeting, worship, sermon, then we have the refresh tables. Now, the biggest challenge we had in this transition was how do we take everything that's physical and make it into virtual? We landed on the decision to do live streaming on YouTube because it's the easiest way for everybody to access what we offered on a Sunday morning. So this is how we transitioned those 5 things from physical to virtual. First, prayer ministry. Prior to the pandemic, the prayer ministry usually had 2 components: the Sunday morning before service prayer time, and then whatever prayer request that was released in our prayer chain. Since the pandemic, they've added a 3rd component, which is Thursday prayer. Prior to Thursday, somebody from the prayer team emails all the people who are on the pastoral staff and people who are serving and asks them for any specific prayer request. We send them the prayer request, and on Thursday, they all get together virtually and they pray together. They've been doing such an amazing job, and I want to give a special thanks to everybody who is a part of that ministry. Next, the greeters. The hosting ministry, they do everything they can to help people feel like they're at home at Westlight. Ever since making that transition to Westlight Live, Paul Hirose and the host team are doing a great job of letting people know that when they come to us virtually, that they are part of our family and that they are welcome here. Now, I know you probably noticed, but at the beginning of the Westlight Live experience, there's a cold opening where people share who they are and tell everybody that they are welcome here to our virtual service. These short 5 to 10 second videos may not seem like much, but what it does is that it allows our guests to get an idea of who we are as a community. So if you want to send in your video, please do so because I'm running low on inventory. Send it to me, cots@westlight.org. I'm looking forward to seeing it, and we all hope to see your face on the screen soon too. Now onto the worship aspect of our service. Daniel and his team has done an amazing job of transitioning. For those of you who've been following us since the beginning of the pandemic, you've probably seen an evolution of the first video that Daniel made to where he is now. We really appreciate the way that he keeps experimenting and trying new things to give us the best experience of worship possible. The first few months of this pandemic, Daniel is laying a foundation for what worship ministry should look like online. In the last month or so, Daniel has been trying to bring people on board to that foundation that he created for the team. So I'm sure you've noticed that there's more musicians that are participating in the worship services. On behalf of everybody at Westlight, Daniel, you guys are doing an amazing job. Thank you so much for all that you do. The audio-visual team under the leadership of Alex has transitioned from displaying lyrics on the screen and turning on and dimming lights to now helping people get situated in Slack and all the other technical aspect of our ministry. At the core of who we are as a church is our community and the interactions that happen between people. And if it wasn't for a virtual community like Slack, most people would not be able to connect with each other. So special thanks to the AV team who made all this possible. Now let's talk about sermons. Westlight Community Church, we have a team of preachers. And as it turns out, when the pandemic just started, we were actually going through a sermon series where each of the preachers was doing a message. But as it turns out, it was difficult to get people the right equipment and make sure that the video was being edited properly. And so since then, we've limited our preachers just to me and Pastor Lori. We are continually making improvements on how we record our sermons and making sure that the audio is clear enough so that you guys can understand what we're saying. The fifth component, which are the refresh tables, was one of the toughest things to transition. And the reason is because it's hard to replicate authentic relationships online. So our pastors and Dana, we got together and we decided that we should create tables like we do after service and have a different topic of discussion for each of the tables. Some of these tables are repeating themes, such as the sermon after party, where if you have questions about the sermon, you can just go to that table and ask the preacher of that Sunday anything you want to ask. Or Adventure in Prayer, where Pastor Stan leads the people in prayer. Or Lamp, a lighthearted, fun time where you can just talk about whatever you want. There are other special tables that we created that happen every once in a while, such as Chef Kevin's cooking table, and we had my drawing class. And for those of you who participated in watching the 13th on Netflix or YouTube, there is a table there to discuss that. In all, we've had 23 unique tables being offered at one point in Westlight Community Church since March. We want to say thank you so much for those of you who have led these tables, and also for those of you who came up with ideas. And Dana also told me that if you have any ideas, feel free to let her know because we're looking for new ideas for these refresh tables. Now there are other ministries I want to highlight. First, Crash Course. We had one Crash Course so far in 2020, and that was the Politics and Evangelicals seminar. A lot of you attended that and it was well received. We hope to have another Crash Course on an unspecified topic in the future before the end of the year. Next, the Glow Ministry. The young adult and college students have been gathering online every other week, and they've been playing games, and they've also been having some really deep discussions about social justice. Special thanks to the core leadership team of that ministry, because it sounds like you guys are doing a great job. Third, Kids Zone. Under the leadership of Pastor Lori, she has been sending out emails on a weekly basis on some curriculum that the parents could go over with their kids during this pandemic time. Every month or so, Pastor Lori will gather all the kids from Kids Zone into the Zoom room, and they have a little fun activity. Thank you so much for all that you do, Pastor Lori. You guys are doing a great job. Now, if you feel like there's a lot going on at Westlight already since the pandemic, we're not done yet because there's new ministries that's been added to our church. The first one is the We Care ministry. This is the ministry that goes and delivers care packages to people who either need it or we feel like we should just let them know that we care about them. So far, there's been 37 packages delivered in our community, and all of them have been received very, very well. Thank you so much for all of you who have bought things, donated things, or even delivered those things. Another new ministry we've added since the pandemic is Dear Westlight. These are videos that we release every Wednesday that's made by each of our pastors. The content of these videos are usually things that we think is helpful for you in our current situation, or answering one of the emails that you sent us because of your curiosity. Each of our pastors are extremely different from each other, and so we thought this is a perfect way to demonstrate to you how the body of Christ works. A video I make is different from the one that Tim makes, from the one that Stan makes, from the one that Lori makes. And we hope that you're enjoying the different flavors of our pastors during this season. Another new thing we added to Westlight since the pandemic is the Westlight Update videos. When the pandemic started, the communications team said that we have to do everything we can to make sure that we're communicating with you. When there's breaking news, something that you need to know right away about Westlight Community Church, we'll be sure to release a video, so always stay tuned on YouTube just in case. In case you're wondering how Westlight Live is doing, since the beginning of January, we've had over 7,400 views of our videos and over 1,000 hours of viewing time. On a typical Sunday, we have about 71 devices logging in to watch our Westlight Live video. If you're thinking, oh, 71, that's about how many people we get on a Sunday morning, keep in mind that one device does not mean one viewer. In our family, one device is 4 people watching. So all this data I'm sharing with you right now is to let you know that Westlight is well and alive. We're going to keep looking for ways to improve our Sunday morning experience as well as our life group experience. And if you have any ideas, we want you to let us know at ideas@westlight.org. Thank you, each and every single one of you, for doing your part in moving Westlight one step closer to experiencing heaven on earth. Thank you very, very much.